the world's oldest and largest Jewish humanitarian organization. Entwine is its young adults platform. And EntwineNosh, this program is one of my absolute favorite programs. We get to work to bring food to the forefront, share amazing chefs in our local communities who really embody global Jewish communities and values. So a couple of very quick housekeeping tips before we jump in and I introduce our speaker for today, our chef for today. We will be moderating the chat throughout. So if you have questions, comments, please feel free. We would love to see them. You can also use at the very bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A button, and that's how we'll be fielding questions. So if you have questions throughout, please feel free to use the Q&A function, and we'll do our best to get to as many questions as we can. All right, let's jump in. So it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Beejhy, who is the owner and founder of Tsion Café, which is located in Harlem, New York. Beejhy is going to tell you a lot more about her background and everything, but Beejhy was born in Ethiopia, moved to Israel, and then came to New York and opened Tsion Café. So Beejhy, we're so thrilled to have you here, and we're excited to hear more about you and your background and Tsion Café. So with that, I'm going to actually turn it over to you. We'd love to have you kind of introduce yourself and Tsion Café in your own words. We'd love to hear from you first.
Sure. Thank you for having me. My name is Beejhy Barhany. I was born in Ethiopia, immigrated to Israel at a very young age, went through the journey of Aliyah, walked through Sudan to from Ethiopia to Sudan, which we'll discuss later on, but came about 20 years ago here to New York and opened Tsion Café because I wanted to showcase and celebrate Ethiopian cuisine, yet the other aspect of Jews of color as well. So we just want to celebrate and showcase the delicious, unique of Ethiopia and African diaspora at large. We are based in New York City, Harlem. I hope you can come and visit us one day. And today we're going to make a split pea kikalicha, yellow split pea, which is very simple to execute, a delicious vegan. And we just going to start right away. I already started ahead of time taking my onions, which I put in a food processor, and it looks like this, and is the ginger, garlic, and the onion. So I'm cooking it on a low fire, and you see what I want to do is cook it for about 5 minutes to dry all the water from the onion, garlic, and ginger, and add my oil. So I'm gonna simmer that. It's about a 1/4 cup of oil. You can use olive oil, you can do canola, you can do any of your liking. And we're just gonna let it simmer for a bit. And you want it to be changing color. You're gonna see something like, if you see here, is getting kind of greenish. It was white because the integration of the garlic and ginger all together. So this is how it looks like right now. And meanwhile, I soaked my split pea, my yellow split pea, about 2 cups. They are nice and clean, about an hour, soak it ahead of time. And it's sitting here. When I'm ready to add it, we will do so. As well, you should have turmeric, which is gonna make it the yellow. You should have 1 jalapeno, but if you don't want it, that's fine. You don't have to add it. And these are basically our ingredients here. I will bring it closer. We have the split pea, 2 cups, the onions, the garlic, and ginger. All right.
Amazing.
How are we looking so far?
We're looking great. I hope if you're cooking along, hopefully you're caught up with us, but feel free to start whenever you are, or sit back, relax, get your inspiration for your dinner later as Beejhy cooks. Beejhy, can you tell us a little bit more about Kigalicha? Why did you choose this dish? Do you have a personal connection to this dish in particular?
The reason I chose the split pea, yellow split pea, I would say is accessible, is easy to execute. And as a kid, you know, I remember if there was nothing at home, it will be a really quick thing to do. It doesn't take too long. It has protein, is beans, and is very nutritious. If you eat it with rice or with injera, that's easy stew to execute. And I wanted to share that with you guys today because I believe everybody should have turmeric in their house, salt and pepper, and split pea. So I thought something that is accessible, easy to do, not complicated. That's why I chose the split pea for today.
Love that. Hopefully that'll become kind of a staple in all of our homes for everyone watching today or using this recipe. I love lentils, so I could totally see myself making this pretty often. Beejhy, can you tell us what makes Ethiopian food unique?
What makes Ethiopian food unique? I would say you have so much varieties of vegan, a lot of stews. Very delicious and tasty if we're talking about lentils, if we're talking about split peas, if you're talking about collard green, we have cabbage, and you can do fasulia, which is string beans. So it's very rich and diverse, especially if you're vegan or vegetarian. On top of it, of course, you have the variety of chicken stews, beef stews, lamb stews. So it's very tasty, delicious, and nutritious. But the secret behind Ethiopian cooking is the slow cooking, that it takes time, a lot of time. And you must have onion, garlic, and ginger as a base almost to anything that you cook for Ethiopian food. So that's more or less. And of course, if we're going on the spicy aspect of the Ethiopian cuisine, we have the berbere, which is a spice blend of about 15 or 16 spices, going from paprika or chili powder or cayenne pepper, which is the base. And on that, people will add cardamom or kororima, which is a black cardamom, Ethiopian cardamom. You do red onions, garlic, ginger, and many more that, you know, it will kind of give it that unique flavor and with a lot of spices. And that is usually utilized to make those stews such as the dorowot, which is well known, a chicken stew that usually is from 1 hour to 2 hours plus. It depends on the quantity you're making. And the base will be, of course, the berbere spice, chili powder kind of, and of course, with the garlic, ginger, and onion, which is a slow cook. You add your spices. You have to have a lot of patience for Ethiopian cooking.
Amazing. So now we have the secrets: low and slow, lots of patience.
Right.
Awesome.
Slow and delicious. Yes. So right now, as you see, my base, I call it base. If we were making something else, it will be very red, and I will be adding the berbere to it. What I'm doing here, you see that nice combination of those three ingredients is coming along, and it smells really, really delicious here. What I will do right now, I'm gonna take my turmeric, drizzle a little bit in there, about half a teaspoon. And here, as you see, I do it by my eye, but the measurements and the quantities are on the recipe that I provided. So we're doing this. It's not fully integrated. You see the color is going to change soon enough to be kind of yellowish. All right.
It looks delicious already. Turmeric makes everything look so beautiful.
It's gonna be nice yellow vibrant. You see this? This is what you want. It's cooking, it smells delicious. And soon enough, I'm gonna add my split pea, which I already washed ahead of time. You see our washed split peas. Gonna add them here. I wonder if anybody there cooking along with us. I'm curious, how is it going? Or just they're planning on doing it next time?
Yeah, if you're in the audience, why don't you write in the chat, tell us if you're cooking along. Beejhy, we actually have a question from the audience. Can I ask you?
Sure. I'm just, before I think, I'm gonna add about 2 cups of water and just mix it all together. And I'm gonna let it simmer, and you may go ask me a question.
Perfect. So we have a question from the audience. This is from Alex. Can you add the mitmita when you eat the kikalicha, or is that going to be overkill with the jalapeno? Will that make it too spicy?
I wouldn't add mitmita to this, because mitmita is supposed to be something more dry that you drizzle over your food. It's not really for cooking per se. And in this case, if you want it to be in that red direction, you may cook with it, but I don't cook with that, with mitmita at all. It's usually you sprinkle over your food whenever you eat it. If you want to cook, do berbere if you want to make it red, which is all right, but not that.
Perfect. Thank you. Amazing. So I'm going to kind of keep going with questions again in the audience. If you have more questions, please feel free to use that Q&A chat function. We'll get to your questions for sure. And Beejhy, you cut me off as soon as you need to give more cooking instructions, okay?
Oh, sure. So as you see, we're looking here, as you see how it looks like. That's what you want, nice, yellow, vibrant. You're just gonna cover it and let it simmer there nicely for about 20 minutes. You don't need to do much. You just want to make sure you stir occasionally, and we're good. If you want to expedite your cooking, you definitely can increase the flame of your cooking. But otherwise, if you just want to take it easy, keep it on medium low, and it will cook very slow and nice. When it's time, I will add my salt and pepper, my jalapeno, and we are just about ready. It's very simple and easy. You just need to let it sit there, and we can talk some more.
Perfect. It makes it perfect timing to chit chat and learn more about you.
Sure.
So we'd love to learn more about your journey. You mentioned growing up and then moving to Israel. But I want to start with your story really in Ethiopia. Can you share a little bit about your childhood growing up in Ethiopia, and in particular, what it was like being Jewish in Ethiopia?
Well, I come from the northern part of Ethiopia called Tigray, and the life back there was very surreal, beautiful, a very knit, tight Jewish community with a central synagogue and everybody interacting and helping one another. People will celebrate different occasions, such as if it's wedding, if it's Brit Milah. Being a 4 years old, what I recollect is the lush gardens that we had in our backyard. If it's we had going from F to corn to pumpkin and tomatoes and jalapenos, and of course we had our cows and everything. So it was an ideal farm lifestyle, very peaceful, playing with all with fellow brothers and cousins and all of that. So it was an ideal life for me as a kid, where into the point, one night, of course, when you heard it throughout many stories, is my aunt would wake me up and said, "Oh, we are leaving, get ready, get dressed." And, she would pick me up and put me right there on a horse. I'm like, what's going on? And I was confused, very sad. But apparently, the elders many people within the community or throughout different Jewish villages, they were planning to execute a whole journey to Sudan, eventually to Israel. And that is, there were correspondence, especially within my family. We used to get letters from my uncles and my cousins that arrived in Israel in the early 60s or 70s via, I would say, the Red Sea or Eritrea through Haifa. But at that point, they were not recognized as Jews, so they were entering as refugees, and they correspond with us and say, time to come to Israel. And so it started a whole kind of movement of community organizing and hiring different guides to show us the roads and make sure which checkpoint is safe to cross by. And because at that time, and we're talking about the 80s, they just a few years previously, about 4 or 3 years before, a general called Mengistu Haile Mariam executed the king, the Emperor Haile Selassie, and he took over power. And he was just a dictator, a menace to society, and hanging and killing everybody in a way. So it didn't reach us, but I guess the timing was so accurate and right. And we had to make sure that nobody knew that we left Ethiopia. At that point, you couldn't flee Ethiopia just like that freely. So everything had to be arranged, or bribe people on the block and the road and the different blockages and all of that stuff. So with that, walking, in a journey to the unknown as a 4 years old, at some point I would say was exciting, and some point it was sad because you never said hello to, especially to my favorite pet. I would say the calf that I had, and I was sad just to leave and go. On the other hand, excited, we are going to Jerusalem, the promised land where all our brothers and sisters live harmoniously, and we can practice Judaism freely. So it was a mix of emotion and all of that stuff. Nonetheless, the journey took about, I would say, 3 weeks to 4 weeks. We're talking about 300 people plus making a journey by foot, if it's horses, donkeys, and camping on the roadside and making double or making flatbread, and even in some point, resting, making sure it's a Shabbat and absorbing it, because Ethiopian Jews are very much, I wouldn't say strict, but observing the Shabbat is considered as an honor. She's the queen. So in preparation for Shabbat, people will prepare the best food. They will wear the best clothing. And then the whole community will gather and go to the masjid and synagogue and worship. And Shabbat for my community is a day of rest and rejoicing and eating and relax. You're not supposed to be any labor whatsoever, to the point where you're not supposed to build a belt around your waist, something, because it's considered a daily ordeal. So don't deal with that, just relax and give praise and thanks. So with that kind of devotion, even though it was risky on that side road, people did observe and manage safely. I guess, when you respect the Shabbat, she will protect you no matter what. That's my belief. That's what happened. Even to the point where we rested, we ate our double, we drank our coffee, we blessed. And then in some point, even somebody within our community was able to give labor. She gave birth to a baby girl. So that showcased how incredible the community and the devotion, and in order to eventually fulfill the Aliyah and immigrate to Israel. But I think I answered your questions, the whole story there.
Such an amazing story. I have chills listening to you speak. It sounds like the community was already super tight, really strong, and it sounds like this journey perhaps made you all stronger. And I think you're talking about like your faith and your devotion, kind of being your why, your reason for going. It's really beautiful. Do you think this journey, as difficult as it was, did make your community stronger and closer along the way?
Oh, for sure, very much. People, will do anything to help one another. If somebody cannot keep walking or they are tired, somebody else will offer their horse or anything like it. That close-knit community, loving and respecting one another, it is something within the Ethiopian tradition. It's engraved as well. But when you are in a mission or to fulfill a prophecy, which is emigrating to the promised land, the holy land, it even brought everybody together. Yes, for sure.
Amazing. So I want to fast forward a little bit. You've been on this 4-week journey. You've made it to Israel. What was that like arriving in Israel? Maybe what were your first few days or weeks like?
It was a very joyous moment. It was exciting. It was great. But my journey, we anticipated to it so much. What is Israel? To me, to be among our brothers and sisters, it was a joyous time. I would say people wept and cried. People kissed the ground, even though it's a cement at the airport. You know what I mean? It just that kind of experience that connects you to the land. It was a beautiful, really exciting moment to be in Israel.
Amazing. And so what was it like now you're living in Israel? What was growing up in this new place like? You spent your childhood in Ethiopia and coming to Israel. What was different, or what was it like being in Israel?
When we got there, you go through the process of integration center where they put you in the area where majority of the people there are immigrants. I would say the first, we were there and there were a few families from Russia or Ukraine. And then we went to Ulpan to learn Hebrew. That was exciting. Luckily enough, I was able to pick it up quick within 6 months. I think 6 to 8 months. I was able to integrate with the native speakers. So that was cool.
It helps when you're 4. Was that right?
Say it again.
It helps when you're 4 years old, right? You pick it up quickly.
When don't forget that actually after we arrived to Sudan, we lived in Sudan for 3 years. So when I arrived to Israel, I was 7 years old. So still it's easy. As a kid, it's a sponge. You pick it up so fast. You are excited, new friends and all of that stuff. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Amazing. How did your family, how did you find community and connection once you were in Israel? Was it did you stay within the Ethiopian community? What was it like living? You said you were with another Russian family in the neighborhood as well. What was it like being with different people from different places?
Okay, so let me explain that to you. So it's not really a neighborhood. Observation center, you won't see it anymore, but it's a lot of trailers, and they put it in an area around a city. We were at Pardes Khana, it's in the north, and they apparently built a whole kind of small village, about, I don't know if it's 200, 300 trailers with laundromat, with I would say different activity center, and it was a whole compound. And in that observation center is basically a small town. I think there was maybe a small store there too, So it's kind of to help you easily integrate to Israeli society, because we didn't live among Israeli right away. It took a while, about 2 years, give or take, until you're fully able to communicate, integrate, and there will be different instructor that will teach you, where do you go to open your bank account, and where do you do shopping. So it's completely, new and foreign, language, culture, you name it. So in that absorption center, as I mentioned, we had different, a small group of Russian immigrants, but the majority were Ethiopian immigrants, new immigrants. So we were easily all cousins and relatives that we all came together or knew through from Ethiopia. So we were able to live among one another. So that was an easy way kind of to adjust. You are not disconnected from family members and all of that. So that was an easy way somewhat.
I see. And what about when you left the absorption center, when you left it, how was that another adjustment? Were you still able to kind of keep your community and connection?
From that point, I would say, as a family, you will choose a permanent housing in any town that you wish, where you have family members. And, since I had cousins and uncles that immigrated in the early 60s and 70s, so we had a lot of options. And since I had more family members in Ashkelon, so we all decided to settle in Ashkelon by the Mediterranean Sea. And it was a lovely childhood, growing up there until I was, I believe, maybe 13 or so. And then from there, I just felt like my connection to Israel, to the land, I wanted it more. So I wanted to live and experience the life in a kibbutz. So when I was about 13, I said, I want to live in a kibbutz and go to school there and work. And I want to milk the cows. So that's what happened.
Wow, oh my gosh, at such a young age. Tell us about living on a kibbutz. What was that like? And it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that when you were 13. Wow.
So life in a kibbutz was surreal. I loved it as a kid. I had friends and met friends from many parts of the world, which was beautiful. And I was introduced to so many type of ethnic foods, making friends from Morocco or Tunisia or Yemen. Even, my hosting family at the kibbutz, introduced me to gefilte fish and matzah balls, and which I loved eating. A weird combination, but it was delicious. So that is my overall experience growing up in a kibbutz. The kibbutz itself, the lifestyle, the cooperative way of sharing, that kind of really, I liked it very much. It appealed to me. And, working the land, we riding on a tractor and pulling some carrots, or milking the cow, or even riding a horse around the kibbutz. It was just a surreal. And when it's a hot day like today, you just go and dip at the pool. So my childhood in the kibbutz was ideal. I met great friends, beautiful people, and it was really a great experience.
Wonderful, amazing. So I want to fast forward again and move to New York. So what brought you to New York, and how did you come to open Tsion Café?
Okay, so before we go to that question, I just want to make sure that we are not forgetting our stew. Yes.
Can't forget our stew.
Our dinner, right? It's cooking nicely. And here and there, just mix it. And still, you can see it's still tender, yes? But otherwise, it looks great. What I will do right now, I'm gonna add salt and pepper. So it's fully integrated and the flavor is delicious.
Mm.
And I'm just add a little bit of water there because it's just gonna expand, yeah? Mix
The
it.
lentils kind of sop up all the water, is that right?
Yeah, it's not lentil, it's yellow split peas.
Oh, split pea, I apologize.
No problem. Okay, so to your question, please remind me again, sorry.
Of course. So what brought you to New York and how did you come to open Tsion Café?
What brought me to New York? So after the kibbutz, I joyfully joined the army with like my all Israeli friends, served there for a couple of years. And like any typical Israeli, what did they do? They go backpack, travel somewhere in the world, find themselves. I was looking for something, I don't know what, but I end up coming to New York. And that was 1996. New York was incredible. The melting pot. I loved the different restaurants, the scenery, the different ethnic groups. And I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. One day, I guess is all the back in my mind, I should be part of this, right? That's what happened. But in 96, traveled here a little bit in the US and then went down to Central America. And then from there, I went to South America, where we're talking about Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile. I spent a whole year, backpacking, hitchhiking. And I always say it, one of my favorite trail was the Inca Trail, going to Machu Picchu. And when people say that, I said, that was nothing in comparison my journey from Ethiopia to Sudan. That was easy peasy. So that, experience connecting with ethnic groups and even meeting Israeli that never thought that I was Israeli. They thought I was American or something else. They never imagined Ethiopian Israeli doing this travel, but it was nonetheless exciting. A lot of learning and interacting and all of that stuff. Great experience and crazy. And as I mentioned earlier, I just passed through here briefly, but after a couple of years, somewhat New York did call me back. So about 20 years ago, plus I came to New York by myself just to see what New York have to offer, what I'm gonna do. And things keep evolving. You meet people. After a few years, I met a few more Ethiopian Israeli here. And we decided to form a nonprofit organization called the Beta Israel of North America Cultural Foundation, where we showcase and did different speaking engagements and film screening to showcase the Ethiopian rich culture and heritage. Because majority of the time, what happened, since a lot of American Jewry really never met or interacted with Black Ethiopian Israeli. When we went to synagogue, the assumption was that we were babysitting or doing something, not as a fellow Jew worshiping there. So that kind of pushed me and my friend to form the nonprofit to create a better awareness and inclusion within here North America. So that's what happened. After that, Bina is still there, running the Sheba Film Festival for 16, 17 years. I was like, okay, let me do something else. Maybe let me introduce the Ethiopian Jewish cuisine and showcase different art form there. So 2014, I opened Tsion Café to celebrate my unique Jewish identity, being an Ethiopian Israeli here in New York. And that's how about Tsion Café was born.
Wow, amazing. So Tsion Café, I recommend to anyone who's on this call. It's an amazing place. It's really not just a restaurant. You really created a haven for artists and musicians. Can you tell us a little bit more about the ethos behind Tsion Café? What do you hope customers leave with when they come to visit you?
We are located in central Harlem, and Harlem did welcome me here as a new immigrant, and I felt at home. And I wanted to contribute something to the community. I wanted to introduce my culture to them and showcase the rich cuisine of Ethiopia. With that, of course, beside food that we have to offer, I wanted to honor the history of Harlem, especially that we are located on a historical site. It's called Sugar Hill. It's a whole historical district. It was very popular in the Renaissance time, Harlem Renaissance time. And this particular venue, it used to be called Jimmy's Chicken Shack. And musicians such as Art Tatum, is a pianist. And I'm sure you heard of Malcolm X. He was a waiter here when he just came from Chicago, or where he met Red Fox, the comedian, and all of that, or Charlie Parker, listening to the different musicians, if it's Billie Holiday and all of that. So in talking to that and appreciation and respect and honor, we do the live music, the jazz and all of that stuff. And we create a gallery space for artists within the community. And even some of our cocktails are called on different names. If it's Red Fox, if it's Zara, if it's, Malcolm X, all of that stuff. That's how I honor the community that welcome me and I'm part of it. And of course, showcasing my Ethiopian, Jewish, Israeli cuisine as well, intertwined together. So this is all the different identities and cultures that have been touched and influenced throughout my being, and hopefully we'll continue to celebrate the beautiful diversity of Jewish diaspora at large.
Wow, amazing. It's so inspiring how you've really kept your true identity of being Ethiopian, of being Israeli, and really honored and brought in the community that you're living in as well. How are our split peas doing?
Our split peas are looking great. Let me see, take one and see how is it. It's getting soft.
Amazing.
A lot of people will mistake it for corn, but it's not corn. You see how nice and vibrant is this?
I could see why people would think it's corn.
About, in 5 minutes from now, 5 to 10 minutes, we should be good to go. Tell me how we're doing time-wise. I can talk a little bit about Injera.
Yeah, we're doing great on time. I'd love to hear about Injera. Tell us.
Okay. This is looking good. Nice. And actually, the great part of this is you can, if you want to make it as a soup, you just add more water, and you want to give it a little bit of more color, cut some carrots, a little bit of potatoes, and you have a whole stew there. So you can really diversify. You can reverse it and change it and do whatever you feel like. This is just the base, and according to your taste and liking. All right?
Such a good idea. Let's talk about Injera. This is my favorite part of Ethiopian cuisine.
All right. So I have here Injera for you guys. Let me see. Maybe I'll take a different one, a lot smaller. So this is our Injera. Do you see the eyes? There are thousands of eyes. So this is the Injera bread. This particular bread is utilized to be your base for your platter. Your stew is going to be on it. And of course, it's going to be your utensils. With this, you're going to scoop your stew or anything and eat. Usually to make this, I would say the least, it will be 3 days. You'll have to let it ferment. And what it is, it's made of grain native to Ethiopia called teff. I'm sure you guys saw it at Whole Food or any store. Red meal, they sell it TEFF. So this is made from that. It's an ancient grain, super grain, very nutritious with a lot of iron, vitamins, you name it. Very healthy on its own, and it's gluten-free naturally. So as we said earlier, within the Ethiopian cuisine is very much easy to be vegan, is very nutritious and simple to execute. And it's very trendy nowadays to eat gluten-free, but within Ethiopian culture, it's been like that for thousands of years.
Easy, yeah.
Even though it is trendy now. Same thing with veganism. It's trendy, but it's there. We're doing it. Now it became trendy, which is great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So that's the injera. But just to let you know, there are other breads beside injera within the Ethiopian culinary cuisine, which is another thing is something I like, and me and my kids, we make it on a Friday whenever I can. It's called dabo. It's the equivalency of challah. So this is how we bless and welcome the Shabbat. Or you can make it with honey. You can make it with a little bit of sugar. And you can put some spice, ajwan, and stuff like that, or you can put raisin. So very versatile and delicious. If you Google my name, I think you should find a recipe for dabo somewhere there. But it's worthwhile, it's delicious to explore. You can add a pinch of flaxseed or a little bit of half a cup of flour, which is delicious, which will enhance the dabo. And the other thing is, we have something called kitcha. It's another flat bread. You make it within 5-10 minutes. It's almost the equivalency of matzah, the ancient way of making matzah in your house. So that's another traditional bread within Ethiopian cuisine.
Wow. So many yummy sides and add-ons, additions to our wonderful stew that we're making. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. Beejhy, I wanted to ask you before, and I got caught up in your story. Where did you learn to cook, and where do the recipes that are on your menu today come from?
As a kid, growing up around my grandma, my aunties, I will always will be given the task of peeling the garlic or cutting the onion, and you watch at a young age within. So this is a skill that you develop if you want it or not, because you're always helping in the kitchen. So you see how to execute it, and you gradually learn, and you develop your own techniques and styles and flavors.
Amazing. So all of the recipes, all of the dishes that are on your menu, they came from your childhood, from your grandmother, your aunties, as you were saying?
My mom, yeah.
Your mom.
And then I tweak it to my liking, to my style, and according to the ingredients that I have accessible to me. So it's all about, you combine, it's all chemistry and art on its own, which is great.
Amazing. We have a couple questions from the audience that I'm going to ask you now.
Sure.
And then, of course, like I said, cut me off when we need to turn back to our split peas. So what was it like during COVID for Tsion Café? How did you switch gears, and how are things now?
Through COVID, COVID was very rough. It was a tough year, but you know what? We couldn't really give up just like that. So what we did is we shrank our menu completely. We cut it off. We slim it down to not a lot of items on the menu, and we right away started collaborating with nonprofit organization to provide meals to essential worker or people in need throughout the city and here in Harlem. And that kind of kept us afloat. And we were able as well, Meanwhile, the city heard about the different things we do, and the city wanted to be part of it, and they as well contributed to that, and we were able, they pay a certain amount of money in order to make meals and give it to people in need, and that kind of helped us really hire our employees and pay them affordable and livable wages. And people order online, they can get certificates. So the community was there and helped us stay alive or survive this pandemic. But it was very rough. And you know, a lot of generosity and kind people help us pass through this rough time. Mm-hmm. And right now, we are there. Still the same model that kept us in 2020. Still doing some giving donation and meals and stuff like that. And luckily enough as well, you know, there were different funding going on throughout the government. We applied for that. So yeah, we are trying to sustain and stay open for many years to come. And we need everybody, you know, whomever is in New York or anywhere, recommend, tell them about us. Any one person, two people coming, having a meal, it's better than nothing. So we need the love and support.
Amazing. Yes, that's such a beautiful way of sharing and telling everyone to come visit you. I know that the New York staff at Entwine are already planning our visit up to you very, very soon. We're really excited. How's our kikalicha looking?
Kikalicha is looking wonderful. Let's see, Bonire. It's cooked. Woohoo! It's hot like what? My God. It's excellent. It looks good. They are not mushy. You see, they are nice and yellow. What I will do right now, I washed my jalapeno already. So this is the jalapeno. What I will do is cut it lengthwise to 4 pieces. Something like this. And I'm just gonna dump it here.
Oh, wow.
And it's gonna give it a little bit of spiciness. And if you don't want it to be, it's not gonna be too spicy. No, don't be scared of it. But if you are not sure if you're gonna like it a bit spicy, you can take the jalapeno sooner, within 5-10 minutes after you put it in, and you're good to go. So I'm just gonna give the jalapeno work their magic for 2-3 minutes, and we are about done.
Amazing. It's amazing how easy this recipe is. Anyone can really make it.
Anyone can relate and make it, yes.
Absolutely. Beejhy, I'm going to ask you one more question before we really close out, since our split peas are almost there. What is something that you want the audience to walk away with, that they know about Ethiopian food or about you? What is one message that you want to leave the group with today?
You know, one thing that I would like people really to take from this is to be open and acknowledge or understand people that are looking different than you or practice something different than you, and have the passion and patience to understand and try to learn who they are, rather than being judgmental or anything like it. Because as a Jewish community, the more we know about the different ethnic groups, different communities within the Jewish diaspora, we will be more enriching and understanding, and it will be a better, I would say, brotherhood within the Jewish world, rather than questioning or doubting about somebody's Jewishness, whatever it is. let's be more on the expecting and respecting one another.
Beautiful. Amen. Absolutely. Beejhy, thank you so much for giving so much of yourself, for sharing so much with us during this session. I cannot wait to make this dish. You're going to dish it on up. I can't wait to see what this looks like all together.
So as you see, my dear, we're coming to an end. Here you go.
Wow.
I'm taking a scoop of my stuff. His rice is ready. If you don't have injera in your house, you can use rice. And this is our split pea.
Wow.
And as I said, you're just gonna grab and take a bite. Let's see how it is. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam motzi lecha min haaretz.
Amen. Delicious?
Yes.
It's beautiful. Beejhy, thank you so much for sharing this with us. I hope everyone gets a chance to make this recipe. And even more, I really hope that everyone gets a chance to come visit Beejhy at Tsion Café, supporting this amazing local restaurant. I know I will be there very, very soon. So Beejhy, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything that you do for our community and for being with us tonight. I want to give just a quick couple of announcements. If you loved what we did tonight, please tune in again soon. We'll be back doing another EntwineNosh. In September, we're going to explore Israeli cuisine, which will be really fun. We do this once a quarter. So we'll have one more in September and another in December. We really hope that you join us again. I also want to plug, we have an amazing EntwineNosh website that has a cookbook that has been created by members of the Entwine community. So definitely check out some really amazing global recipes. So again, I just want to express so much gratitude to you, Beejhy, to everyone who joined us tonight. Thank you so much. I hope everyone stays safe and has an excellent evening and rest of your week. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.